Welcome everyone to SkillScape 2025. Before we begin, let me share a moment. A few months ago, during a visit to one of our retail customers, I met one of the employees who had been learning at Disprz for more than 2 years. He came to me and he said, I joined this company as a store associate. Today I run the store. Learning helped me rewrite my story. He said it with the kind of pride you never forget. The pride of someone who just didn't grow in the role, but grew in confidence, in capability, and more importantly, in self-belief. It reminded me why we all show up to work every day in the world of learning. It is not for the platform, not for content libraries, definitely not for dashboards, but for the people whose lives actually change when they learn something new. And yet, if we are honest, the world around us is changing faster than most people can keep up with. Roles are shifting every year. Skills are becoming outdated in months. And 2025, in many ways, feels like a turning point. For the first time, learning isn't something organizations provide. It's something organizations depend to survive. That's why SkillScape exists. It's not a conference. It's not a webinar. It's a space, a pause, a moment where the world's learning leaders come together and ask few big, uncomfortable and beautiful questions. Are we preparing people for the world that's coming or the world that has already passed? Today, you will hear from the leaders who have transformed the entire workforces, from practitioners who rebuild learning cultures against impossible odds, and from the thinkers who see what's coming next before it arrives. Some of what you hear will excite you. Some may challenge you, but some may quietly stay with you long after this event ends. Over the next 2 hours, my hope is simple, that you will leave SkillScape with one idea that you want to try in 2026 and one old belief that you're willing to let go. So wherever you are joining from, please settle in. Drop your questions in the chat and let's explore what the future of learning has to offer us. Welcome again to SkillScape 2025. Let's begin.
Hello and welcome to SkillScape 2025. This is a very big moment for us because Disprz just turned 10. 10 years ago, we started with a very simple dream to make learning engaging, measurable and digital, evolving into what we are today, a global learning and upskilling platform trusted by 500 enterprises worldwide. We now serve 1 million monthly active users across the world. This journey would not have been possible without the people who helped us to where we are today. Our customers like you who place their trust in a very young product, our partners who walked every step of the way with us, and last but not the least, our dear colleagues who put in hours and days and months of hard work, belief and passion, helping us to where we are today. A big thank you to all of you. Over the course of this 10-year journey, that small goal of building a digital platform grew into a mission that drives every one of us today. To help every person advance at work and life through the best technologically led, scientifically backed skilling experiences. And today, as we mark these 10 years, we're not just looking back with nostalgia and celebration, we're also looking ahead with purpose. Because the world we began in has changed quite dramatically. Artificial intelligence, much like everything else, has even changed learning in a big way. And today, everyone from CHROs, CLOs, talent managers, business heads, and even learners are asking the fundamental question, what does learning mean in this world of AI? While I'm excited to present what's ahead, let's look at where learning stands right now I am proud to unveil our first Disprz State of Workplace Learning report with data and insights culled from 500 global enterprises that use Disprz. This report reveals 3 powerful insights. These insights tell us not just how far we've come with digital learning, but also how far we need to go. First, only 13% of organizations have linked learning into business workflows or embedded that with their operational KPIs. This shows that advanced learning maturity is early but still achievable, as some organizations have done it. It is not merely enough to link learning to completions, but it is important to link those to business outcomes so that return on investment can clearly be proven. Secondly, the so-called traditional sectors like manufacturing, banking, and healthcare are quietly leading on digital learning maturity. This shows that when learning is tied to operations and business continuity, learning just doesn't become a compliance function, it becomes a strategic necessity. Third, 61% of learning is now self-paced. This is a clear shift from one-time episodic training events to pull-based modular micro-learning. This sort of learning fits people's roles, schedules, and time zones. The challenge now for HR and L&D leaders is to build content ecosystems that support continuous on-demand learning of depth, quality, and relevance. These and a few other insights have helped us classify organizations into 5 stages of digital learning maturity: the emerging trailblazers, the digital adopters, the skill builders, the progressive innovators, and the visionary leaders. And one truth stands out: the real differentiator is you, the strength of your L&D teams. Higher the digital learning maturity, higher the learning adoption. To stay at the top, you will need one more superpower: artificial intelligence. Now, let's talk about what's next. As Disprz enters its second decade, AI, skills, and human ingenuity will together redefine learning and business outcomes in 2026 and beyond. We are in an era where learning isn't just an event or a destination. Learning is an experience. Learning is an enabler. Learning is everywhere. Learning is becoming a layer of work. In fact, more deeply, a layer of life. This layer of life connects who we are today to who we can become tomorrow. Let's explore this exciting future through 4 lenses. Where will learning happen? How will it happen? What will it happen through? And why should it happen in the first place? Learning will no longer be something employees and colleagues go to. It will live right where work and life happen. Think of it like Wi-Fi. You don't have to go somewhere to connect to it. It will be all around you, powering everything silently in the background. Learning will be something similar: always on, always available, and always contextual. For knowledge workers, this will mean learning will be inside GPTs, be it ChatGPT or custom GPTs built by enterprises, behaving like personal assistants who understand their roles, context, needs, and performance gaps. For frontline teams, learning will surface right inside their business apps, be it communication apps like WhatsApp or inside their mobile workflows. Learning will no longer interrupt work or life, it will amplify it. That's where the future begins. To understand how learning will happen, we need to look at agentic AI and neuroscience. The world is moving away from simple large language models that just assist to true agents that think, act, and decide autonomously. These agents shape the new science of learning, enabling it to happen not as isolated events, but as continuous self-enforcing loops. Here is what these loops look like. There are daily nano learning nuggets. There are quarterly and systematic skilling plans, and there is on-demand learning inside work applications. And these skilling loops feed into each other and reinforce each other. Let's take the example of a retail store associate. And here is what these 3 upskilling loops look like. The daily learning nugget can be around some of the salient features of a newly launched product. The 3 systematic skills can be around upselling, communication, and new product knowledge. And the on-demand learning can be around a particular difficult refund scenario which the retail store associate did not know about but queries on demand right inside WhatsApp. Each of these 3 loops learns from the learner, getting smarter, faster, and personal with every interaction. Now let's talk about what will learning happen through, which is the format. The era of static and large content libraries is ending. Learning content will be just in time, just for you, and just right. Instead of searching through a catalog, learners will receive dynamic content that is constructed in real time in line with their role, context that includes performance gaps or goals, and format, be it visual, text, audio, or experiential. AI has made it possible to create new learning formats where the learning doesn't just talk to you in a one-way communication channel, but you can talk to the content itself, asking it questions, getting feedback, and personalizing that for you. AI will generate and deliver these kinds of exciting formats of training in a matter of minutes, right at the moment of the learner's application and personalized to her need. That's the new format. Learning as a living, breathing companion, not a static library. Now let's talk about why do we do this, which is the impact. Because learning without business outcomes is just an activity or a cost center. That's why we've built the value framework, which is a 5-step framework to measure and articulate the impact of learning. The first is vision alignment, which is aligning across every function, including learning, what your business goals are, be it growth or profitability. The second is actionable goals, which is translating your business problem statement into a learning problem statement. The third is linkage to KPIs, which is baselining the core performance metrics that you need to improve. The fourth is unique intervention design, which is designing the learning loops in accordance to the learning problem at hand. And the last is evaluation of business impact, which is using analytics to compare the baseline KPIs to where they stand today and to ensure that learning has led to a significant return on investment. Our customers have applied this framework across several industries. Retailers have increased sales by doubling basket size. Logistics firms have cut time to productivity in half, and banks have improved operational metrics related to bank account opening times. Agentic AI that is trained on the value framework can compute the ROI just for you without you having to crunch several spreadsheets. As we embark on the future, one thing is certain. The future of learning will not be built by algorithms alone. It will be built by people like you who stay curious, adaptable, and deeply human. AI will give learning its speed and scale, but it's our curiosity, our empathy, and our adaptability that will give learning its soul. Learning is no longer a part of work, it's becoming a way of life. And thanks to AI, we now have the tools to make each and every one of you a lifelong learner. So here's to the next decade, where we reimagine learning not just as a department or a system or a platform, but as the thread that connects people, purpose, and progress. Enjoy the rest of SkillScape 2025, where we have an exciting lineup of panelists and sessions waiting for you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ROI Theater, the retail boardroom simulation. Today, we're stepping inside the boardroom of a mid sized retail organization that has about 2,000 employees. The company is under profitability pressure, growth has slowed, margins are tight, and everyone around the table is looking for faster ways, to drive results. Into this environment walks in the chief learning officer, that's Rashmi, who believes that a digital learning initiative can help improve frontline productivity, customer experience, and ultimately drive sales outcome. Around the table in the boardroom, we have the Chief Human Resources Officer, that is Zul, and the Chief Financial Officer, played by Pixie, each bringing their own perspective, pressures, and biases. I am Akbar. My role today is that of a convener, and I will observe with regards to the arguments, where the resistance builds, and what moments of persuasions change mind. And I will come back at the end of the session. So, for everyone watching, your role also is to observe the dynamics, not the content. Watch for tone, empathy, data, body language, and the subtle shifts of power that happen in real decision making. Okay, everyone, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Akbar. Hi, Pixie. Hi, Zul. Good morning. I am very excited that we are meeting today to discuss a proposal which I have been wanting to talk about. And you know how in the last town hall we had multiple, you know, um, multiple data points where there was profitability pressure, and our frontliners and retailers, we talked about their well-being, capability building, their sales training, and so many other things. I think the proposal which I've come to you with today is going to help target some of those things. So imagine our frontliners, and I'm just sharing what I have recently heard from one of our area managers, and he was telling me about this guy who got actually promoted newly. And let's call him Alex. And he is now inheriting 5 people who report into him. And one of them is Emily, who is actually a new retail associate. As you know, the attrition has been more than where we want it to be. So there are several new retail associates, and we need them to hit the ground running. Now, when Alex and Emily were having a conversation, and I took help from, of my intern to actually create that conversation, just for you to feel what it feels like to be in their shoes. They were trying to give a feedback conversation. So Alex was trying to give feedback to Emily. So he goes to her and says, "Hey, I wanted to talk to you about your sales performance. As you know, you've been struggling to meet your targets." And Emily is saying she's doing best to improve. And she has been trying all the retail sales techniques, working on her pitch. But Alex is saying your numbers are not just where you want them to be. The insight here is that a lot of our frontliners are actually new. And when they become frontline manager, this is a key defining career moment. And not something which we are very proud to admit, but 60% of our retail managers actually don't achieve high performance or our baseline performance level due to lack of training. And if you look at the value of a good frontline retail manager for our company, it's about $47 million. If you add the hiring cost, the training cost, the kind of cost they actually get out of it, if they leave and if they are not performing the way we want them to, it's actually a huge cost. So that's the problem we're trying to solve with this new solution. Currently, what do? They basically do a classroom training. They get some ad hoc guidance. They do self-learning if they are super, super enthusiastic. But to be honest, most of them are too busy to actually take out time proactively for training themselves on how to run a more profitable retail store, especially the frontline managers. So that's what I'm trying to solve for. That's what our team has worked on. And what I'm going to propose you is a solution which we think is going to help this problem. And that solution is a personalized AI digital coach enabled for mobile devices. Now, we have actually come up with this solution, which is called NEO, which is New Employee Orientation. And this coach actually sits on your WhatsApp, on your Microsoft Teams, on on your system in our organizational chat system. And this is available to our frontline managers 24/7 to be a high touch digital coach. Now, you might ask, is this going to be effective? This tool has been made with a lot of scientific evidence. And what you see on the screen right now here is basically control group. The human coaching is on the top and the dotted coaching is below that. So if you see the two dark blue, black lines, as you can see that the digital AI coach is as close as possible to the human coaches when it comes to this use case. In some cases, to be honest, it's even more effective. There's two-way interaction. The coach remembers what the understanding of the retail associate. They understand the issues. They have impact measurement. Of course, we get all the analytics, everything. It's scalable, cost effective. And the best thing is we don't need to take our retail employees out of the retail stores to help them.
Thank you, Rashmi. Thanks for putting this together. I do recognize that attrition is a problem in the organization. I also note the fact, looking at the numbers in the last 2 years, our store sales have not gone up. They've been pretty flat. In fact, we've lost our revenue from some of the stores. And unfortunately, our costs have been rising in the last 2 years. An ideal situation that we envisaged was ideal crocodile mouth kind of a situation, right? Your sales keep going up, your costs keep coming down, and the mouth remains open. Unfortunately, this has not been the case. So sales have been pretty stagnant or dipping, and our costs are going up. Profit after tax, EBITDA, all these financial indicators are not looking healthy. And one of the key missions that the board has given all of us, all the C-suite, is to make sure that we are able to show a double-digit growth percentage this year. Our target for EBITDA, our revenue targets are already higher than last year and this year, right? For the subsequent year. So keeping all that in mind, I'm very, very, very careful and conscious where to spend money. Every penny saved is a penny earned. Now, I've looked at your presentation. What it does not tell me, it tells me that our people need to be skilled. I get that. What it does not tell me is this is the best way to skill people. It does not tell me what costs are we talking about, how much money do you need, what will be the payback period. It does not show me any scientific evidence that the tenure of people that we have in the store with any iota of skill progression, is there a correlation between improvement of skill progression with improvement of service revenue in that store? So I would like a bit more data-centric approach here. I'd like you to show me the numbers and show me the evidence that an investment of the size that you want will help us drive the revenue in the stores. I'll pause now.
I think
Comments from
thank you,
you?
Pixie. The elements of people, I think I strongly believe that people is our profit centers, where our people is part of the business, and our role in HR is supposed to be we should support the business. So we are no longer only cost center. We are also strategic business partner for the company. So how we see this is about, yes, we know that the cost is increasing, and we know also that the attrition rate is going down, is going down as well. So that's why we are looking into how can we balance between the cost that we are going to incur, and also to get the right number of people inside our organization. And we strongly believe that there are the cost of hiring is 3 times larger than reskilling people, upskilling people. And that's why for HR, I think we strongly believe that is in terms of an investment. What I could see is that if we are looking into how we want to spend, I would like to propose that we might have an analytics or a KPI dashboard, which we can measure the ROI. So we can monitor the return on investment. We can look into how could the investment that we have uh, issue at the early stage, and what would be the impact at the end of the year.
Now, I might belong to the old school of thought here slightly, but what I don't understand, to train people on mindset and to train people on effective sales and effective service, if online self-learning with an online coach is the right format for something like this. Online training to me works better if you want to teach someone uh, traditional learning, formula based, hard skills, whether it's Excel, whether it's data, whether it's financial acumen. I can understand those parts, read and remember. But the training you're talking about requires role play, engagement, interaction, participating in different scenarios, complaint handling. A lot more engagement is required. And I'm not sure if, because digital is the new sort of flavor of the season, that is the right way to go about this. Show me the evidence that, an initiative like this in a similar organization has borne the right results, has given, anybody the kind of payback that we are expecting. And I'm happy to consider.
Yeah, I hear you, Pixie. And let me share you some proof points as well. The whole ethos behind it is, yes, you're right. This is not a hard code skill training. And that's precisely the reason why, as a team, we're wanting to experiment and try this, because this is like a person talking to you, being in your ear and guiding your actions, including role plays. And I'll give you some examples on how that role play actually works out. The other thing I would say is our full-time costs would go down. So FTE costs. Right now, if there are 20 people responsible for that whole onboarding group of 1,000 people, it's going to go down to maybe 4 or 5 of them. So that's like 75% reduction in the full-time equivalent. And what we pay for the tool, again, we don't have to do that right now. This is just a proposal. If we like it, yes, we can look at the costs. And because but just broadly, the costs are 10% of our current cost of training and onboarding in any case. So from a financial perspective, it works according to us. And what I will share with you now, Pixie, is we actually went ahead and did a little bit of a pilot in our own teams because we wanted to test it out on our people. So what I'm going to show you next is we gave access of this tool to 100 of our frontliners. And what you see is basically an HR dashboard, which you will get to see it all of course, as HR team, but also managers, see how much engagement is there, whether people are finding it helpful, what people are finding it helpful for, and so on. I'll leave this to you, but I just wanted to share with you that the 100 people who tried this tool said unanimously that it's either going to be very helpful for them or they would like some tweaks. And then when we asked them, would you want the future trainees, 100% of them said that this actually helped them with the reminders, with upskilling, all of those things. So that's the ethos behind it, Pixie. But I've noted your concerns, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with Zul and actually look at a projection of the costs and ROI. And give you actual numbers for that. We've done broad-based back of the napkin calculation, but I'm going to give you based on the 1,000 trainees if we decide to work with this.
I think
Anything from you?
the elements. I think the elements of what we are considering right now is whether we could get back the money that we invest. So as Rashmi mentioned, that it's a 10% out of the total cost. And I could see that by having digital learning, it's supposed to be that we can leverage and upskill the program faster compared to normal traditional programs. And that's number one that we can see is going to make people agile in learning and also to improve them.
No, thanks, Zul. I hear both of you. Zul, I have a question for you. Let's assume for a moment that we agree for an investment in this digital learning platform. If your attrition doesn't go down, that means now we're spending this X amount of money to get a new platform, to get a new initiative. We spend that money on a bunch of people, and 30% of those people keep leaving us every 6 months or every year, whatever your frequency is, right? So people continue to leave, and now we do a higher investment in them leaving the organization. So it's very important, if we want to invest higher, we got to figure out a way to ensure that we're able to retain them. So that's a question for you, Zul, that you can think about, your team can think about. So Rashmi, as I was saying, have you done any comparative analysis, any RFI, RFP with multiple platforms? Have you considered the various parameters from, from a cost point of view, license cost, integration cost, exit clause? How will the contract change year on year? How many years do we want this, and how many licenses are we looking for? And second, from a quality perspective, content perspective, is this the best platform out there in the market? Or have you considered any other platforms as well? Is there any sort of a feasibility study done, and do we have any data on that you can show me?
Yeah. So Pixie, we've done, right now, because we piloted for 100 people, our whole objective was to sort of learn fast, fail fast. So we did it for 100 people based on the vendor who we had a high level of trust in terms of customization and integrity and ethical consideration when it comes to the AI and usage data for these 100 people. If we as a team are convinced that A, it's going to cut down our full-time FTE cost, B, it's an effective tool for our people to be able to learn something, not just like a jazzy thing they can play with, as you said. And we believe that this will add a lever which will help our productivity, partly attrition. If not attrition, at least the people who are there, they have better performance. Then we have like a whole set of vendors who we can evaluate. My objective from the next step was not to book like a vendor for 3 years, because the technology is changing very fast. We don't know how this will land, but it was more about like a 6 months pilot in 2 business units, where we say that we go deep rather than wide. We go deep. We do a 6-month analysis pre and post. We look at the revenue numbers. We do a control group study, so that all the questions, relevant questions which you are asking in terms of, is this actually making us money, are answered to our satisfaction before we sort of really dig our heels into this. So my proposal is for a 6 months pilot with a control group for maybe 2 of our big business units.
Okay.
I think, Rashmi, can I interject? It's about data that we are looking at. So when we want to provide the learning or the contents to our people, it must be for those who have a certain and specific competencies gap. So that's why we need to address the specific person that can that we want to close their gap, and which person that we want to push their performance upwards. So by having that data, then we can see the improvement of performance, and the iteration also going to be better.
Okay. So Rashmi, I think I've heard enough. Here is my final submission. If the cost of this platform is going to be greater than 100,000 US, as per the policies that we have of the investment governance, you need to bring a comparative proposal from 2 more vendors, and the procurement team will evaluate all 3 of them, and then we go with the best one. I'm personally still not convinced that digital learning is the way forward, but because your past initiatives have borne good results in the organization, I want to go with your instinct. I want to go with basically a faith of, leap with you. So if we believe that upskilling people in the store will get us the right results, show me the right plan, show me the output metric, show me the correlation that by upskilling people, their skill progression will result into a dollar earned at these stores. So show me this plan. And as I said, if the cost is going to be greater than 100,000 year on year, then show us a comparative analysis of 3 vendors, and we can go with the best one, do a pilot for 6 months. If you're able to show results, then maybe we can sign up for the next 2 to 3 years, as you're saying.
Yeah, makes sense, Pixie,
I
and
rest my case.
I'll
Yeah.
do that. Yeah, thanks so much.
Great. Thank you so much for that enriching and amazing discussion that had all the elements of a Bollywood masala movie and all the elements of what a real boardroom discussion looks like. You gave us the feel. I mean, I'm an observer, I'm a convener, and I still got the feel that I was actually in a real life scenario. I don't think we could have done better. So, I mean, amazing. Thank you so much for your contribution. I would like to start the debrief and share my observations on how I believe the session went and how does that compare to. I think it was fantastic. I think that the way Rashmi started the session, she set the context, the challenge. However, it was amazing how she visualized the current context and build a visual solution. So anybody who wouldn't understand where she's coming from would understand. As a result of that, Pixie stepped in and he asked some very specific questions to say, are we identifying the right problem? You know, and this is a very real question, that any CFO would ask. That yes, I'm very happy and I'm very excited about, or I can see that your excitement about the solution that you're proposing, but is this the right solution? Now, we have to also understand that some CFOs could come from a very different bent of mind, could be more task focused, data focused rather than people focused. And therefore, they will pose those kind of questions to us to say, yes, we're excited. AI is the in thing. Everybody thinks AI is the solution, but are we identifying the right problem? And based on that, do we have any evidence that this is what will, solve our issue? And he put a tough stance on that and asked some really, really hard questions. And it was amazing how, Zul stepped in and kind of said that we have to change our perspective to with the way we look at our people. And we have to not question whether we should invest on them or not. Investing is not the question. Yes, definitely, I back you in, are we making the right investment? But investment itself is not a question. And I think Rashmi also has very smartly presented, where she's done the due diligence and she's done the data analytics, and that's where I would say that like kind of the part two of Rashmi's pitch began, where she kind of highlighted that this is the kind of initiative we're talking about. By the way, I do understand, being a part of the organization, that financials are tough, and therefore what I'm proposing is actually beneficial. So it's 10% of the cost that you would actually traditionally spend. So it does make a lot of sense for us to move forward with that. And the work that was done, how you visualized it, how you then brought in the numbers, the data, and how positively it was discussed, where resistance was taken with a very professional tone and outcome, because sometimes we do face professionals who do not understand the role. And I think also Pixie, something that Pixie added after Rashmi's very strong presentation was that your credibility. He brought in that you've done great work in the past. That's the speed of trust in organizations, when people have goodwill, that your credibility, the kind of projects you've delivered, I back you to try this one as well. Let's do it. I'm not blocking it, I'm just protecting our best interest. So fantastic discussion. And yeah, I mean, I would like to thank all of you for this. I don't know why I feel like the host, but I'm not. But yeah, it was great to observe, and I think it's a great example for all of us on the kind of preparation we really need to have before we go into these sessions, and not just carried away by these AI platforms or skilling platforms. We need to really know the value they will bring, how they will change our dynamics, and the impact that they will have in our organizations. Thank you so much.
Hi, hope you've been enjoying SkillScape 2025. Thanks for staying with us. Earlier we spoke about how learning is not just an event or a destination or a platform. It's becoming a layer of work and actually a layer of life itself. In this new world, employees won't step away from their jobs to learn. Instead, learning will flow through their jobs. Learning will become perpetual, pragmatic, and highly personalized. This is the shift that we are building, a world where learning inherently becomes AI native. And by AI native, I don't just mean adding AI bolt-on features on top of an existing platform. AI can actually reimagine how people learn, grow, and perform. We've reimagined the foundations of a learning platform and how AI native can help us achieve this vision. It's about rebuilding the very foundation of how people learn, grow, and perform, where AI doesn't just recommend what people need to learn, it understands why people need it, how best they absorb it, and when it will make the maximum impact. Every moment of learning, be it a sales conversation, a factory shift, or a coaching call, should feel intelligent, contextual, and tailored to every person. How does that look inside Disprz? How does this translate to an actual product and a user experience? That is exactly what this segment is about. Over the next few minutes, you will see this innovation in action, and you will hear from the very minds that are shaping our product roadmap and transforming it into an AI native learning and upskilling solution. Let's first start with Vasant, who leads our LXP or skills building product.
Hi there, I am Vasant. Today I am really excited to show you how we have made Disprz LXP truly learner-centric and AI native. The goal of our LXP is simple, to help our learners achieve systematic upskilling. So how we do this? We give our users guiding tools which will help them achieve this in 3 simple steps. 1. Discover skills using AI. 2. Benchmark themselves on skills using assessments that are built in. And finally, carry out upskilling through personalized learning and projects. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like for Amy, who works as a data analyst in her organization. As soon as she signs in and set basic preferences, something exciting awaits her. She can start discovering skills conversationally using AI. She can explore skills based on her role. And her day-to-day responsibilities. Based on her interest in leadership development. Or even her career aspiration for her next role in the company. Once she is done with discovery, we want her to prioritize a few skills to start working on. Again, AI can assist her on this and she can change it as she wants. So next pit stop for Amy, she's going to benchmark herself on her skills. She can launch an adaptive format assessment on a skill like Python and proceed to test her mastery on various topics under it. As you can see, the user experience is really gamified and the assessment automatically stops once we detect that she is at her level of proficiency in Python. There are also situational type assessments on some of our leadership skills to help her measure her ability to apply her knowledge to real life situations. Based on simulations, our AI can actually grade how effectively Amy can handle them by evaluating her responses. These situational assessments can be great for assessments on skills like decision making, critical thinking, etc. In this fashion, Amy can go on to assess herself on her skills and uncover her proficiency levels along the way. In addition to this, her organization can also have her managers rate her and get a performance angle into the mix. next stop for her is to proceed with her personalized learning. As and when she completes her assessment on skills, personalized learning recommendations will start to flow in so that she can begin her upskilling journey by enrolling for relevant content and completing them. We also surface AI generated projects and certifications on her skills to enable her in experiential learning, which we understand is an integral part of skills development. Clearly, you can see how our LXP handholds Amy in every part of our skilling journey in a learner-centric and AI-native way, just like I told you.
Thanks, Vasant. That's fascinating. It really brings the philosophy of measurable AI-native upskilling to life. The foundation of all of this is skills. This is a good time for me to bring in Shankar, who heads data science at Disprz. Shankar, you've been doing a lot of work on skills. Can you talk a little bit about the AI behind skills on the Disprz LXP?
Thanks, Subbu. Our LXP is powered by a skills framework that was built with the help of Gen AI. It's very comprehensive, covering 15 industries and 20 functions. Our content library is also powered by a Gen AI native model that tags every content to a relevant skill and proficiency level from this framework. We offer our clients the flexibility to plug into this existing framework, or they could bring their own frameworks, and our models will adapt to their schema. This system is what enables us to deliver truly personalized learning experiences at scale.
Content is an important part of upskilling experiences. And like I said at the keynote, the age of static content libraries is gone. With agentic AI, it is possible to create very engaging learning experiences and pathways at scale, tailored to your company and your learners. And we are excited to launch CHRO, our latest product. Anjal, welcome to the Innovation Showcase.
Thanks, Subbu. CHRO is our latest product that uses agentic AI to automate day-to-day tasks of L&D teams. Across customers, we have seen three common needs. Firstly, they want to convert their existing documents into learning content without losing the context. We have seen that customers have repositories full of PDFs, PPTs, and policy and training docs, but the content is dense, text-heavy, and difficult to consume. Secondly, if you don't have the content, then you want to generate something from scratch. And today, L&D teams want to generate content within minutes. And thirdly, not everything can be created from scratch. If you have existing content available with you, you can mix and match with the generated pathway and create a structured learning journey. Shall we convert a complex text-heavy document into a learning journey? Okay. So first upload the document, then choose what you want to create. You have two options, knowledge explainers and learn and check, which is essentially combination of explainers plus assessment. Within knowledge explainers, we have two formats, talking head video. This is a high fidelity video where the instructor isn't a generic avatar. It can be a familiar face inside your company. Your onboarding video can be delivered by your head of HR, your CEO, or your sales leader. No long hours of recording or retakes. We clone their manners and the AI speak in their voice, naturally and convincingly. So your employees learn from a face they trust in a language they understand. But we didn't stop at the passive video consumption. With the interactive video, the learner can click, choose, and progress instead of just watching. And here's the breakthrough. During the video, a learner can raise their hand and ask a question to the AI. The AI is not a general purpose AI. It's trained on your company's knowledge base, your SOPs, policy docs, product manuals. So the answer is contextual, accurate, aligned with your organization's language and standards. It's like having your best trainer available 24/7 inside the video. And when it comes to assessment, apart from classic quiz and gamified assessment, we have simulations. In these simulations, the learner is dropped into a real-life situation, a customer escalation, a safety breach, or a compliance dilemma. They must type or speak what they would do. The system evaluates on the fly based on decision making and critical reasoning. Instead of guessing answers from a list, they show what they would actually do. This makes assessment experiential, not theoretical. So the output from a complex text-heavy documents is not just a video or a quiz, it's a combination of these activity. A pathway intelligently stitched together with a talking head video, interactive video with AI Q&A, gamified quizzes, simulation and assessment. Every activity is deep rooted in instructional design, not random content generation. And the best part, you stay in control. AI does the heavy lifting, but every step is reviewed by human. You can review, edit, publish efficiently.
Thanks, Anjal. That was very interesting. Shankar, my next question is on privacy. While these tools are very powerful in terms of their ability to create these rich learning experiences, how do we ensure confidentiality of our customers' data, especially around the documents that they share to this tool, are maintained?
Data privacy and security are central to how we build. Clients' data is strictly isolated, ensuring complete separation across organizations. Our AI models are never trained on the user data. And wherever we use LLMs, we use the enterprise grade versions, ensuring complete data privacy. None of the prompts or the responses are used for training their models. So every piece of intelligence that you see on the platform is built securely, respecting enterprise privacy and compliance standards.
Thanks, Shankar. With AI, the possibilities of immersive content experiences have just become manifold now. Like Anjal showed, you can now talk to a video instead of just a video talking to you. But let's now take a look at some truly high fidelity AI native learning experiences that are now possible. Let me bring in Prasad to showcase some of these truly AI native immersive learning experiences. Hi, Prasad.
Hello. So until now, the main formats of learning content were videos and SCORM packages, and we know that they are generally linear in nature and they are very passive. You may ask about what about simulations? But it's very hard to build truly immersive simulations. We are now stepping into a type of content which is generated by AI, is built for AI interaction, and is also evaluated by AI. I'd like you to see an immersive experience which is driven by or guided by voice interaction. And you'll actually see that every part of that, which is the text, the audio, the video, the navigation, the feedback, all that is actually powered by AI. And the learner actually not only understands the correct procedure of doing the exercise, but also understands what could go wrong and how his or her responses should be. So here's an example of from housekeeping for the hospitality industry.
Hello, welcome. Today we will practice the housekeeping lost and found SOP. Please begin with step 1. You are servicing a just checked out room and you find an item on the bedside table. According to the SOP, what is your first action?
I'll try to identify the nature of the object that's been found, whether it's jewelry, or it is cash, or it is a passport, or anything else.
Good start. Remember, step 1 says to carefully inspect for any identifying information like a name or room number. Also, handle the item with care and use gloves if needed. Can you describe exactly what you see on or about the item? Is there identifying info? And will you wear gloves?
There's no identifying information, and since it's jewelry, I don't think it will require gloves.
Thank you for explaining. Jewelry can sometimes carry germs or contaminants, so it's safer to wear gloves when handling it. Let's go ahead and put on gloves before you proceed. Now that you have identified the item and put on gloves, what will you do next according to the SOP?
I'll try to store it in a safe place and call the supervisor and inform the supervisor.
Good that you will notify the supervisor. However, the SOP says to notify the supervisor or front desk immediately after identifying and handling the item, before storing it. So, first notify the supervisor.
Thanks, Prasad. These possibilities are indeed very, very exciting. But I have a question for you, Shankar. How do we ensure these simulations and these voice agents use company-specific knowledge and they do not hallucinate and it doesn't speak from the knowledge base of the large language model itself?
The AI references real company material, products, product guides, SOPs, manuals, to come up with scenarios, responses, and evaluations. So what learners experience is realistic, contextual, and most importantly, completely aligned with the company's own knowledge base.
Now that we've seen how the intelligence comes from the skills layer, how engaging content experiences can be built, including AI native ones, let's talk about the learner experience itself. Sid, why don't you talk about the learner copilot that you've been building?
So, in today's world, learners have access to a plethora of content, courses, documents, videos. It's but natural, they get confused about where to start from. Once they start, they can get confused about whether they are learning the right thing or not, or whether they are understanding what they are learning or not. So, in such a scenario, just imagine if they have a personal guide, who can understand their needs, their strengths, their goals, and their struggles, and can accordingly guide them towards learning in a better way. So that's where our AI Copilot comes in. Okay, now let's dive a little deeper and see what the AI Copilot can truly do.
Yep.
The Copilot helps the learners identify what they need to learn based on a number of factors like their role, urgency, progress, skill gaps, and many other factors, and then guides them towards the most relevant learning steps. After they have discovered the right content, it also helps them understand the content better. For example, it's normal for the learner to hit roadblocks while learning. The Copilot can understand the context of what's there on his or her screen and helps them right there in the flow of learning. The learner can just ask a question and it instantly explains, simplifies, or connects it to real world examples, all without breaking his or her rhythm. Furthermore, the Copilot can also provide personalized and comparative insights, showing the learner how they are progressing, what's improving, and where to focus next. Additionally, sometimes learners have questions that go beyond what's on the screen. The Copilot doesn't just give you an answer, it shows you exactly where in the learning journey that answer lives. It explains clearly and takes you right to the moment in the content. Wait a second, it doesn't end there. This can extend to well beyond the LMS. Shankar, over to you.
Thanks, Ed. Deep search is a feature that we are really excited about. With this feature, learners can ask a question in plain natural language and they get back a precise answer based on the company's own content. Whether it's a policy document, product manual, or a long training video, the system retrieves relevant section of the content and generates a precise answer. Features like this can be accessed directly within Disprz, within any enterprise LLM, or even from your company's own LLM powered tool. Now let's look at a quick demo. Here I'm using the ChatGPT interface, which is connected to an MCP server that securely accesses Disprz's own internal documents. When I ask a question, Deep Search pulls the relevant section from a document or video and gives an accurate, context-aware answer grounded in the organization's actual data.
Wow, that's very exciting work across the board. What you've just seen is just a glimpse of what's ahead, where learning becomes invisible, intelligent, and fully integrated. Essentially, a layer of life. I invite you to join hands with us in building the future of learning together. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Good day, wherever you might be joining from. I'm Sel Gaston, and I'll be your moderator for today's conversation on Disprz SkillScape 2025. The title, Reimagining Learning, Design, Delivery, and Impact with AI. Now, I know AI can sound intimidating. For some of us, it feels like that overachieving cousin who suddenly knows everything. But in learning and development, AI is not here to take our jobs. It's here to help us do them better. It's like hiring a super efficient intern who never sleeps, but still needs your wisdom to make sense of things. We've got a fantastic panel today. People who don't just talk about the future, they're building it. Allow me to introduce Cho Tae-u from Yoma Bank. She is the EVP for People Division. Cho? Also, Pratisha Malik. Hello, Cho. Pratisha Malik from V-Guard Industries. She is the Health, Learning, and Chief of Organizational Development. Pratisha?
Hello Joe, hello Sel, hello Rashmi and Adnan.
We also have Rashmi Verma from Fusion Finance Limited. He's the head of the Learning and Development.
Hello everyone. Hi, Sel. Thank you.
Welcome, Rashmi. And last but not least, there are only two thorns among the roses here today. Adnan Halabi. He's the talent management and a thought leader. Adnan, welcome to the panel.
Thank you so much for having me, and hello everyone.
All right, let's start with the big one, the shift. For years, we've been stacking courses like we're building a library. Now, AI is turning those libraries into living rooms. It's not about how many books you have, it's about how well the room fits the person or persons sitting in it. Pratisha, how are you seeing this shift from content creation to learning that actually learns back from us? Pratisha, we'll start with you.
In my personal view, and I'm sure a lot of you would agree, organizations that are nimble-footed in terms of their learning, adaptive in terms of their learning, are the ones that are going to thrive in the future. And with the right kind of tools, foundation, intent, we can make that journey more pleasant for our people, more enabling for our people. We move from personalization to hyper-personalization. We are able to move from just content factories to context building factories, right? So you have systems that learn from you, that adapt. So basically, your learner is at the heart, right? All of us are concerned about our learners, right? We want to build learning organizations. So you have tools that keep your learner at the very heart. They adapt to your learners. They offer what the learner needs.
Well, I agree and support what Pratisha said. Actually, AI moves us from just creating courses to designing the real learning experiences. As an example, in my self-reflection, that if we are trying to deliver or create a training content which is based on communication, let's say. So if there are two types of employees that we are trying to deliver the courses. One is frontline customer-facing employees, and the other one is the back office staff, which need to learn the same type of content. However, the frontliner might get role-play chats or customer simulations, while the back office learners can get used to studies or email examples, etc. So that the AI can help us to deliver the same goal but different parts, and that's what makes AI powerful. It makes learning more personal, relevant, and practical for everyone.
Yes.
The way we have shifted from learning management systems to learning experience platforms, that transition of the nomenclature itself talks a lot about how we have moved from one size fits all to absolute personalized learning, right? And today, with the help of AI, organizations are not only able to give learning structure or the platform or the courses to employees to be relevant in the current role, but they're also feeding in the curiosity. For example, today I am in L&D, but I'm extremely keen to learn about project management or agile learning. What is it? Does this intrigue me? What is machine learning? Does this intrigue me? I can go on my platform and I can view and take the courses and just maybe become a project manager tomorrow without even going to a university, for instance, while being in this role, and yet be able to mature to balance and bring some learning into my current roles as well. So today AI is helping us not only to provide a myriad of content at one click, but also very important, it is reading the persona of the learner.
As Joe was highlighting, it keeps giving you some more updates on how to enhance the way you learn, the way you educate yourself, and the way you teach your team. Some tools were very helpful by showing that if I have learned one thing, then it shows that people who learned 1, 2, 3, they were also interested into doing 1, 2, 3. That was more efficient in the way we do our learning needs analysis, more efficient in the way we spend our budgets, and more intuitive in a way that is engaging, that is customer-based or client-based type of learning, and at the same time supporting the strategy for the organization. Yet many people still fear the utilization of AI.
I do agree. Engagement is key. Because if you're engaged, I don't think fear would come into place. Oh, well, for some people, if there's so much engagement, they'll think, I'm a trainer, maybe I'm going to lose my job tomorrow, but that's not the case.
Yes.
There's something else there. Those are fantastic insights from you guys. AI is the silent code designer, or we can also even say that it's your silent instructional designer. It's that quiet partner who handles the spreadsheets while you dream the magic. It takes care of the boring bits, the routine, objectives, tags, templates, so the rest of us can focus on what makes people feel and think. Rashmi, how has this AI teammate, let's call it a teammate, him,
That's right.
her, maybe we'll have pronouns for them in the future, changed your workflow? How did that AI teammate change your workflow?
So thank you for that brilliant question, Sel, because this is something which is perhaps the elephant in the room sometimes in the meetings when you sit with your team of content developers. So tools can do that today for content developers. All those books and books and books which we used to read maybe a decade back when we had to create some content and then go to the meetings and understand, okay, how many people are there in your team? What kind of people are there? Oh, I can't do so many things. I can't create persona-basis training programs, the need race, going back to the earlier question. But today the content developer is not a developer. The content person is a curator. The development part can be done by the AI. The AI can bring in entire library to you. The AI can bring in the entire catalog to you, entire menu card. You pick and choose and then curate with your human element into it. Can you humanize learning then?
I'll pose this question first to Cho, and then everybody else can answer. What's one creative part you'll never give to AI or to the machines? The part that's too human to automate.
Well, that for me would be designing the context, not the content, because the context part is
Context,
where
not content.
the human connection established. And like if we think of the learning model, which a lot of us might refer to, like 70-20-10 model. So the AI strengthened the 10 and 20% of the learning, but the 70% of the learning happened at the real time. So that part, it's based mainly on the context, and human experience and leadership will not be able to replace by AI.
That's great, Cho. Pratisha?
No, I totally agree with Joe. And, the human element, the empathy, that a human being can bring. So, in fact, I was recently being pitched a tool of an AI coach, right? Apparently, AI coach is as human as a human coach is. But I would still prefer, if the question were to what is one thing in this journey that I wouldn't want to, go to AI for, I would still prefer that coaching remains with a human coach, at least for the time being, till we are very confident of what we are getting into, right?
Sometimes the best ideas get stuck because they're in the wrong language or tone or inflection or nuance. AI can now translate not just words, but feeling. We see it in Netflix and even in YouTube. It's like having a universal interpreter that also gets your jokes no matter how corny it is. Maybe in another culture, it's very funny. So, how does this help more people join the learning conversation, especially those outside the large metropolis or corporate settings?
Thank you very much for this question, Sal. Actually, language has always been one of the biggest barriers of learning, not because people can learn, but because knowledge was often locked in a language that we don't speak. So I've seen that challenge closely, especially in diverse team, where English-based content made some people hesitate to join to certain programs. But that is changing with AI now, because as you all know, AI translation, subtitles, and voice-to-text tools, learning is truly becoming inclusive for all of us. Nowadays, someone can take a course in English and instantly understand it in any language that they are comfortable with. For me, that's truly powerful. We're no longer limited by language, but only by the curiosity. So now AI has made learning accessible to anyone, not limited to those who are fluent in one language. No, for me, it's one of the most human and beautiful thing of AI. It helps knowledge belongs to everyone, and I'm truly grateful for that.
That's lovely. Curiosity knows no language. And I know Rashmi is also, she also mentioned language just a while back. You mentioned about language. How do you view this now?
So, as I said, Sel, we have about 22 languages in this country itself. And the market we deal in my organization, we go across. So, we're consuming about 10 languages on a daily basis. Let me put the statistics in place. Everything, even a single slide, if I have to create from the content basis, it has to be in 10 languages. Now, earlier, what we used to do, we have an entire team of our L&D experts. We used to ask them, consume them manually to do this translation. Now it is pretty easy. There's one team, they put it to the tool, they translate it. And then what we do is now we engage our human team. They see and they vet whether the translation has been accurate or not, to what point, right? Whether the translation is able to communicate to the my end learner eventually, because the end learner is probably in a village. So is it language subtle enough? Is it language communicative enough? That's what they are doing. So honestly, the translator, even the Disprz platform which we are using, that was the primary, that was the first requirement I asked for. My learner goes on the platform, the first thing the learner should have is selection of language, and then the entire content should be in the language. And it would have been possible without AI, because I was struggling with this for about 6-7 years back, and we could barely do anything for our learners beyond a language or two. So definitely, it's helping a lot. So,
Rashmi? Pratisha, being the head of organizational development, that must be a challenge. And the same question, how do you now, in that view, the organizational development of your company?
Yes. See, learning has now become larger than learning events and the silos in which we used to run it. It has been democratized, right? And in fact, drawing from what everyone said, so when I was about to pitch a transition from an LMS to an LXP, one of the things that I told my management team was that this is Netflix of learning, right?
The democratization there is being able to do so much more. And Adnan, you're big on this. Experience. You mentioned that experience can even be predictive because it's going to tell you what to do next. What are your thoughts on this in light of language?
Absolutely. Heading culture and talent for over a decade now, it's been very essential when we connect to people, when we look at how we improve ourselves in the way we connect to our strategy, our business, our values. Learning has been playing a very significant part. Many people, when we think as professionals, talking about the 70-20-10 model, everybody thinks of a 10 as 70. And we always forget that 70 is all about communication, is all about connect, is all about culture, is all about knowledge, and it's all about knowledge transfer that we have been, I may say, singing about for a very, very long time and still doing it. So the utilization of AI has been immensely helpful in a way we customize the cultural context into our manuals. I like I like the utilization of recent tools. Still, I can say that it is in the phase of development, and I'm happy to collaborate with Disprz that they have been utilizing this tool, reading pictures, reading texts, reading manuals, in terms of coming up with instructions, coming up with. I like Rashmi when you said you want to put a presentation, you utilize AI of synthesizing some ideas for you. This tool also provides us with a quick agenda point or a quick talking points when we jump into a meeting and so on. Yet, a human side needs to be involved when we talk about culture, when we talk about how we think of we present ourselves. We must have been experiencing a work in a multicultural organization. I myself work in an organization that has over 40 to 46 different countries altogether. So we form a united nation by ourselves. So I need to understand how to deliver a message. And I can see Rashmi can connect to this because she's using that in multi-dimensional in terms of language. But when we talk about culture, how do I transfer or give my idea to Turkish versus Russians versus Singaporean versus Indonesian versus Indian and Saudis and so on and so forth?
Good point, yeah.
Exactly. Yet, knowledge needs to be transferred. And therefore, I can say it is predictable, meaning the translation of knowledge into language and into presentations and into attractive, interactive platform and way of delivering knowledge is easy. However, culture is still an important element into making us all connect.
Fantastic. The new way to measure impact. Let's talk about that. We used to measure learning by how many people attended. And that's like judging a concert by how many baby boomers would rock their heads in a Guns N' Roses concert. But it's the seats, by how full the seats were instead of how moved the audience felt. With AI, we can finally measure what really matters: growth, readiness, and behavior. Pratisha, how are leaders in your organization development hat use these new insights without drowning in data? There's so
Right.
much. There's an abundance of data.
Of course, of course. See, with capability building at the core, right, you always want to take decisions which are objective, right? You have to take talent decisions, and you want to take talent decisions that are objective. And up until very recently, a lot of our decisions used to be, very subjective, right? But with the kind of data insights you have, the kind of competency assessments that you can do for your people through the platforms that you have at hand and how it enables you, you can take the right talent decisions. You can help people grow faster. So it sort of benefits everyone, in my opinion. Obviously, for an employee, he knows what his journey is going to look like, his career path is going to look like. For an organization, the organization knows what succession looks like for them, right? So it enables a lot of talent processes, talent management processes, and helps leaders take informed decisions, right? Because I'm sometimes asked, right, give me a set of people who are high on certain competencies or certain skills, right? But then now you have a data set to back that up and give people, those data points to help them make those decisions.
There was an era when the leadership used to take pride in understanding the people, and they say, this is my gut feeling, that's why we should put our money on this person, right? I'm saying you still stand up in the boardroom and say, this is my gut feeling, let's put up my money on this person, but please have a look at the data as well. And then you combine the gut feeling and the data, and then let's have a more informed decision. So bang on what Pratisha said. It is all about how we have graduated in our ecosystems, taking more precise, more informed, more advanced decisions. Also, the futuristic approach has been playing a lot of lately because of the AI. We can try to look into future to a point in terms of experience and forecasting of the data and understand, okay, if there could be attrition and why, can we hold on to the attrition, can we ring fence something? Helps brilliantly to build the strategies in ring fencing the future challenges.
Amazing future, because each person can now have its his own data points, and data points that you mentioned for Adnan, 46 organizations, going to be crazy. You must be drowning in data, but how do you manage that?
Well, I couldn't agree more with what was said by the ladies here. And let me summarize our real actions in few words. The reality that people used to have, and they still believe it needs to continue, yet provided the facts, giving the different data points, showing results to people, it's becoming more of kind of cultural or generational challenging when it comes to my gut feeling is, or the rule of thumb is, this is reality. I was having this conversation literally last week with my top management. We were talking about the pool of talent. Who do we expect in terms of ranking of talents when we were discussing the talent review in the talent review sessions? A lot of I feel, I believe, I think, my understanding, I have seen, but the results are telling otherwise. We are not neglecting knowledge of our feelings or our experiences. However, we're adding a different dimension of recommendation. And therefore, the ecosystem, the different data point, the recommendation coming from experts who are literally using and knowing how to use technology from talent management people is becoming more effective, is becoming more evident. In a way, we provide futuristic forecast of how we should invest in our human side. And today, I can say in different organizations, we're becoming more confident in a way. We say HR now can provide an ROI to the business. We're not just a business enabler. We are a value creation to the business, and this is a real experience that we are living today.
Magnificent future and magnificent present, Adnan. Yes. It's a potent mix of gut feel and data. This is a fantastic conversation. Thank you, everyone. That was human, that was rich, and that was full of sparks.
Good afternoon to you all. It's wonderful for all of you to be here. Roland, Sandeepa, Mohannad, and Ivy. My name is Mayank Pandey, and I'm going to be the moderator. The idea for us today is to talk about organizational agility as we build towards an AI-ready workforce of the future. I think the idea is for us to be able to dive deep into understanding the degree of preparedness in organizations, the extent to which cultural and other transformational initiatives have to be planned and mapped in order to make this organization come to life in the future. As I look around in India, the level at which organizations are poised in terms of their preparedness varies significantly between organizations. So you know there are the more multinational organizations that are quicker to adopt and adapt to the new normal, whereas some of the old owner promoter conglomerate traditional organizations take time in reorienting themselves to this future of work mapped through an AI ready workforce. What has been your experience? And Roland, maybe we can start with you. If you could give us a more Asia-Pacific context anchored in Philippines on the topic, we'll build from there.
Well, here in the Philippines, our company is a little bit more progressive in terms of being able to really prepare our leaders, not only leaders but also our employees towards the future. Given that we are operating internationally and also in the Philippines, we are faced with so many multinational competitors. I think we really need to be at par in terms of skilling our people, in terms of what are the future skills needed to be able for us to, meet the ever evolving business requirements.
Thanks, Roland. Ivy, how does Manila and the healthcare group look at adjusting and adapting to the future of work uh, through AI?
Thank you, Maya, for that question. For healthcare industry, is a bit challenging because, of course, um, the level of security when we're handling um the information of our patients is really vital. So we can only do so much.
Sure. And Sandeepa and Mohammed, maybe the question is to the two of you. I mean, I think it is very clearly understood and accepted by all change practitioners that this kind of a change has to be led by leaders within the enterprise. And in that, how quick are leaders to adapt and to absorb new technologies in order to be able to lead the transformation from the top?
I think it's different from industry to industry. Some industry are moving very fast in the adapting to the AI, such as telecom and technology industry. And some industry still they are understanding the concept and so on. I think the leaders of the organization should start moving from predicting the future to anticipating the future. Now with the AI tools, it can build the scenarios, it can build data analysis, it can anticipate what change can happen in the market.
Sure. Sandeepa, how's the experience been for you?
I agree with Muhammad. So I think every leader will now agree that AI isn't coming, it is already there now. And they really believe and they have taken this challenge that whether our workforce can evolve or is evolving towards what the technology is evolving towards. They all are bracing up themselves. They are also getting trained and they're also learning new things, how they can use this technology, AI intervention into the day-to-day businesses. I would just give an example. As an organization, when we were trying to develop a training program for our store manager, which we call them store leaders. When we're doing this, we realized that the top performing leaders were the managers who could understand technology faster. They were able to maintain and manage the store as well as they could interpret the data with the help of AI, with the data dashboard we were providing to them. So we realized and we have understood that this is going to become this is a core of our business.
Makes sense. And I'll open up the next question to the group. I mean, as I see it today, I think the largest impact of AI when it comes to leaders seems to be broadly spread, across the following dimensions: reporting, consolidation of data, analytics, research, and maybe communication. Broadly, those 4 or 5 areas is where the largest use of Gen AI tools such as Copilot and ChatGPT and the chat functionality seems to be. Is there anything else that you're noticing across organizations? Is there any other element I'm missing here?
I think now with the change happening even in the AI industry, the agent is coming in the markets. So the agent modules and a lot of companies started using a beta version of that. It's a module where you can do a task, not only analyzing data or anticipating trends or data science, machine learning, and so on.
Correct. I mean, my question was more to say that what are leaders most absorbing when it comes to Gen AI and those tools and utilizing those in their work to be able to make a difference to their lives. But in your opinion, Ivy and Roland, do you find that the rate of absorption amongst leaders to new technologies is very high across APAC, or are leaders lagging behind the transformation?
Well, in our case, in URC, Philippines, and even in the other countries, the leaders are really very, very supportive and adaptive of the use of AI. As a matter of fact, we've been using a lot more on research. And second is that we also utilize AI like in the LXP module where AI will now be used by starting next year. We'll be making use of an AI agent to be able to help us in defining skills for each position. That will be able to help us to build the skills taxonomy of all the positions within the organization, which will later on go straight into, will link to our skills assessment program.
To what extent are you finding leaders mirroring the urgency for transition, and then mirroring the support to an AI ready workforce in terms of strategy,
So I'll tell you,
structure, systems, process, capability, policy?
absolutely. So I'll tell you, okay, I'll give you an example that in retail, the margins are really very low and the cost of labor is really very high. And unless you have a proper scheduling and understanding the requirement and the sales peak and the low business time, you will not be able to do that efficiently. In Burger King, when I was working, we had my leaders were really very futuristic thinkers, and we had implemented AI-driven scheduling, auto scheduling, which really helped BK to reduce their cost of labor in significant percentage because it helped them to do the auto scheduling depending on the sales. Week-wise, day-wise, hour-wise, sales was giving them forecasting, which helped them to schedule the labors and the labor hours they could control. So this is what I'm just giving an example that how leaders are thinking how each function, each activity can be, each task can be driven through AI or to machine learning, and we can do something better for the business.
In this group's opinion, where does let's say the Middle East, specifically Saudi Arabia, and then the APAC, including India, lie in terms of learning transformation using tech? And where do some of you see the problems? I'm trying to build towards our second topic of adaptive learning ecosystems, and I'm looking for first thoughts from this group. So anyone can go first, please.
Yeah. So I work on one of the media company where, as you know, AI is impacting really high there, especially in the montaging and editing and so on. So I think one of the examples that we did and we work with it beautifully, we start adapting the AI and applying the culture change using the AI. So we use two things. First, understanding what's the reskilling and upskilling that we need to do. And then we use systems for analyzing the heat map skills in the market or in the company. And then we start building based on that skill gaps, personalized learning experience for each jobs and each merging, powering by micro and byte learning. Because a very good point to mention what's happened with us. We work with the IT, we list all the programs that we need to use. We take 1 month to design the program. While we finish the program, there is already new tools of AI introducing in the market.
How's the pace of change, Sandeepa, in India and in your context?
So learning has a prescribed learning and non-prescribed learning. But as an individual, if I want to really do something and I'm searching for some content on the LMS platform, which is given by my organization, it should give me some prompts on how I'm looking at making my career or how I'm doing in the organization. It should keep on giving me those suggested content for me to go through. And it will really, I think so, help the workforce into planning, shaping up their career as well.
Aren't we all poised at a time where if the right futuristic skill sets are not reflected across the workforce, then organizations need to take some tough decisions, whether it is to upskill or to reskill or to outskill, so to say?
There is two main issues happening now. So the first one is understanding the impact. So people, yes, AI will reduce the cost of people. This is obviously because people will have, they can do things faster, easier, and so on. However, is not this is not the only action we'll do. There is another task replacement happen in the market. So it's more of the jobs is not really gone, more of the task is being replacing, and we need the new people to come and do the prompt engineering, data analysis, machine learnings, and so on. So most of the CEO, especially in the economic situation now in the world, look at the first part, but a time will come when we're gonna need the new skills for people, and you're not gonna have it, and you're gonna be ready for that. I think CEOs need to focus in both upskilling or reskilling, at the same time adapting the new skills.
Let's go back and talk about this Gen AI and AI tools, right? These tools have been around. Companies have started to deploy these tools. But if you look at enterprise paid licenses deployed across corporate India, the average utilization of these tools is not even 27%. Is there an effort to be able to bring up the utilization of these tools? And that has two parts, right? One is just building awareness about tools and emerging technologies. The second is taking the user, taking the horse to the water and making him drink by teaching him the functionality. And therefore, where does big data lie? What is Gen AI? What is AI?
Yeah.
What is prompt engineering? And so on and so forth, right? These are all elements of change that we need to see. So where does the challenge lie for us? As organizations?
The market is change, and the one who will adapt in the coming and change the culture of how they work today, not only digital transformation, will survive the coming era, because building a company, scaling a company, transformation a company become easier now with AI.
Correct.
It become very easy. So a lot of competitor will come, a lot of small competitor will come. I think culture change is the key for the coming period.
Okay. Roland, where do you stand in the matter?
I'm very much agreeable of what Muhammad has mentioned. It's really not just about technology change. It's really about culture change.
Okay. If this cultural transformation is very, very specific to each organization, are there common threads that we all could take back to our companies as areas of focus for cultural transformation?
So, Mayank, I would like to add here one point here.
Sure.
See, I believe there are 94% of the organizations or the companies, they're planning to upskill their employment into the new technology. Upskill, they really want to upskill. But what is the access do we have? Do we really have the kind of content access? First, that is a question. And I think so each organization will have to really heavily invest in their learning and development division, that function.
Let me just recount all the stuff that we said, right? When it comes to building a workforce of the future, and AI led that. We said that leadership support and leadership alignment and leadership supportive of this transition is critical. That's the first point we made. The second point that we made was about learning systems and data and automation and personalization key to making learning more sticky within organizations. That was the second point. The third point that we covered was the alignment of learning to skills and focusing our efforts on skill building. I think that's the point Roland made. The fourth point that we made, which was a conversation we were just having, was to do with Mohammed. I'm forgetting the point that you made. Sorry, if you could just come in and remind me.
It's a culture change and adapting culture to the AI. It's not only a digital transformation, it's more of a culture change transformation happening in the full market.
Yes. And so where I was trying to build towards was to say, is there a common thread in cultural transformation across geographies that we all should pick and learn from?
I think ADKAR model is happening now in most of the companies. And here in Saudi Arabia, the government is starting educating people in AI, and there is a lot of free programs coming from the government to the employees to go and adapt to AI and using tools. We need all to understand, because there is psychological safety need to be happening in the markets. So AI is not really taking jobs, it's taking tasks. So I think the change happening with to be more employments, we need to know how human and machine learn together. And this is a very important point in the coming transformational revolution of AI and so on.
Sure. Ivy, any
Yeah.
thought you like to add on cultural transformation?
Yeah, I agree 100% with Mohan. Psychological safety that really comes from care, because when people feel cared for, they're not afraid to make mistakes. They're more willing to learn, to ask questions, and to try new things. And as leaders, we really need to model both curiosity and empathy. Like when we say, I don't know either, let's figure it out together. That's an act of humility, and it makes everyone feel safe to be human. Like change becomes easier when people know that their leaders understand how it feels.
Sure. And Sandeepa, last bit of this conversation, I want to start with you. Where if change is so important for us to be for us to be prepared for the future, is it important for us to incentivize people to change? Where do you stand on the incentivization topic?
I think for upskilling and learning something new for your own development need not to be incentivized, Mayank.
Sure.
This should be a core requirement of a human to really look forward for this. So yes, I do not agree with incentivizing on learning new things and learning new ways.
Roland, where do
I
you
agree with
stand on?
yeah, thank you. I agree with Sandeep. I think if it's for for your own self development, you should not be incentivized. So I'm also seconding on the what Muhammad mentioned a while ago, that it's in the Philippines context. I think I hope Ivy will agree with me. One impact of AI when it started to gain ground is that people got scared. Got scared that they might lose job. I think it's all about properly educating the workforce that it's not there to replace. Muhammad is correct. It's there to take out some tasks.
I think learning professionals in the coming period should know and understand how to take and build the desire for change. Maybe we are not incentivizing people to learn. However, we could create an innovation program that need a pre-learning process and so on.
How do I would be able to integrate linking all the learning data directly to the KPIs, dashboards, and KRS so that it becomes, I can really use AI in my day-to-day life
Can you hear me?
for better results.
Makes sense. Ivy, last thoughts to you.
AI is changing work so quickly that we need to help people feel not just capable but supported through all that change. And when there's compassion, that's where compassion comes in, because innovation is not just about tools or technology. It's about, for us, especially in healthcare, it's about care. It's about giving people access to opportunities, to micro learnings, and saying, we believe in your ability to grow. Because when employees feel that kind of care, they start to explore and experiment, they take risk. They use AI not to compete but to create, because they know their leaders want them to succeed, not to replace them. And that's just half of the battle. The internal part is the easy part. We still have the external stakeholders that we need to influence as well.
Thank you, Ivy. I think that was well said. Thank you all for your time.
As we come to the close of SkillScape 2025, I want to leave you with a very simple thought. Today wasn't about frameworks, concepts, or tech. It was about you and staying relevant to a world that's moving faster than ever. Every story that you heard, every insight shared points to one single truth. Learning is not just about business driver, it's a life changer. So as you go back to your teams, your companies, and your learners, I hope you carry something from today with you. 2 degrees of extra courage, a bit more imagination, and a renewed conviction that learning can transform not just organizations, but human lives. On behalf of the entire Disprz team, thank you for spending your time, your attention, and your energy with us. Let's keep shaping the future of work. Let's keep expanding what people believe is possible. Let's make 2026 a year of bold learning transformation. If you liked what you saw today, we would love to have a conversation with you. Thank you, and see you at the next SkillScape.
I'm walking away from so far to find a better way. I'm walking away.